Hi, linear algebra students. So this is the first makeup video on the class 5.6 cross product and triple product. Okay, so in this first video, we're going to do something very simple. I'm going to give the definition of the cross product and we're going to work through one example. Okay, and I will also show you a practical way to calculate it. That being said, I think the way that I present it, like as a definition, is already very practical for calculations. So let's get to it. Given a vector, okay, so by the way, the cross product works with vector in R3. Okay, that is actually very important to realize. So if we are given two vectors in R3, so u and v, written in terms of their components, their cross product, what it will be. So first of all, it will be a vector, okay? And how do you calculate this vector is actually an interesting thing. So it follows from determinants, but here you are. So the first component will be the determinant of u2, u3, v2, v3. Okay, so in other words, you just pick like the two last components of each vector, put them in a row, and you calculate this determinant. The second component, you do almost the same, but there's a negative sign, okay? And the negative sign comes from cofactor expansion. I will explain that in a minute, okay? And the second component means you keep the first and the third. So it's u1, u3, v1, v3. So, okay, well, 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay, so that's what you need to see. And obviously, you kind of see the pattern here. The third component of the cross product will be the determinant using the first two components. So u1, u2, v1, v2. So in other words here, this. Okay, so that is the cross product. And when I was a student myself, my teacher presented it also that way, that I'm going to show you. So, so practical way to compute it. Practical way to compute it. Okay. That being said, you will never see me use this. Okay. So how do you do this? Well, so the cross product of u cross v. Okay. So the way you set it up is you write the basis vector I, j, k. And then you write the vector u as being the second row and the vector v as being the third row. Okay? And it will give you exactly this. So by using cofactor expansion across the first row. So let's do it, let's say in orange. Okay, so you have plus, minus, plus. So I'm using here cofactor expansion across the first row. Now these are vectors, but don't worry about it, right? It's a mnemonic more than an actual thing. So the first determinant will be, as you can see, positive I hat, times this determinant, which turns out to be the same as this one, right? u2, u3, v2, v3. Now, minus j hat, so j hat, which is the second. And then as you do the cofactor expansion, you're going to be left with this, u1, u3, v1, v3. And then finally, plus k hat. So this like k hat multiplied by the determinant, which like you cross the third column. And it is this, like u1, u2, v1, v2. Okay, so you could calculate the cross product like that, you know, like as like a way to remember the formula as well, because it's not necessarily intuitive. Okay, so the example that we're going to do, we're just going to take two vectors and do their cross product, right? Simple. So find the cross product of u, which will be the vector 1, 1, 0, and v, which will be the vector 0, 3, 1. So the way that I calculate the cross product is this way. Okay, so let's do it. U cross V. And I will color code just for you to see what's happening. So you have like 3 components. And the trick is to always remember that the first component, you're using the second and the third, right? So in other words, you do like the determinant and you have 1, 0, 3, 1. Okay, now the second component, you have to remember the pesky negative, right? So don't forget about it. If you remember that it comes from a cofactor expansion, then you shouldn't forget the negative, but at the same time, okay. And same idea, right? You're looking at the second component, which means that you're keeping the first and the third. So you're going to get here 1, 0, 0, 1, as I can see. Oh, shoot, I messed up my color code. Well, let's actually correct it. So there you go. This is supposed to be a blue determinant. Okay, I'm just going to do according to this. Okay, so there you go. So 1, 0, 3, 1. And finally, well, the green determinant, the one that is right here, the third component, you look at the first and the second, right? And this one has a plus. So it's like 1, 1, 0, 3. And then the rest is obviously just grinding coffee, right? Writing down the value for each calculation. So here you'll have 1. So perfect, 1. Here you'll have simply negative 1. Okay. And then you'll have like 1 times 3. So it's going to be just 3. So there you go. This is your cross product. All right. See you in video number 2. In video number 2, we're going to look at the properties of the cross product as well as the formula that gives its norm. See you there.